Welcome back to the deep dive.
Good to be here.
Our mission, it's pretty straightforward. We take these huge piles of research
Yeah, source material.
and we really try to boil it down, find the core knowledge, the most critical insights, and deliver them right to you.
Makes sense.
Today, we're diving deep into something really foundational, arguably the most famous, maybe most influential philosophy of achievement ever put together.
Talk about Napoleon Hill.
Exactly. His life's work, basically, all drawn from, over 25 years studying more than 500 successful people?
That's right. And it's all laid out in his 13 Steps to Riches.
Now, you said it before we started recording. This isn't just like a rah-rah motivational talk.
No, not at all. It's presented as a systematic study, a really comprehensive philosophy for individual achievement.
And the promise is pretty bold.
It is. He claims it's the most dependable path for anyone who's genuinely searching for a definite goal in life.
And the core idea, it's kind of radical, isn't it?
It really is. We have to get this up front. Riches and poverty, according to Hill, are basically the offspring of thought.
Meaning your financial situation. It starts in your head.
Ultimately, yes.
Yeah.
It's a product of your mental state. That's the fundamental premise.
We should probably touch on the origin story, too, because that gives it context.
Absolutely critical. This whole thing kicked off because of Andrew Carnegie,
The steel guy.
the steel magnate, yeah.
Yeah.
He apparently shared his success formula with Hill and basically challenged him. Said, organize this, codify it, give it to the world.
And the research effort was massive for the time.
Huge. Estimated cost back then, over $100,000 to duplicate. That tells you the level of commitment, the empirical observation behind these 13 steps.
So Carnegie felt this stuff needed to be out there.
He did. He believed traditional education just wasn't cutting it. It wasn't teaching people the practical business of, earning a living, building real wealth.
So these steps are meant to be a practical roadmap.
Exactly. Moving step by step from an abstract idea, a desire, to actual concrete results. And it uses both, like economic cooperation and these untapped mental forces.
Okay, let's get into it. Step 1, the absolute foundation. Desire. The starting point of all achievement.
Right. Bedrock.
Now, it's easy to hear desire and just think, oh, wanting money. But Hill's really specific here, isn't he?
Oh, incredibly specific. He hammers this point home. It can't just be a wish. It has to be a burning desire. Intense. Specific.
How intense are we talking?
It needs to become an obsession. That's the word he uses.
No.
A wish is passive, he says. It has no real power.
But a desire.
A desire needs that intensity, that specificity, and crucially, it must be backed by a definite plan to get there.
Yeah.
It has to burn so hot that the idea of failure or even just retreating isn't even an option.
He uses some powerful examples to illustrate this, that warrior
Oh,
story.
with the burning ships, yes, a perfect illustration. They land on enemy shores.
And the commander immediately orders them to burn their own ships.
Exactly. It completely eliminated any possibility of going back. No plan B.
Wow. Talk about commitment.
Right. And Hill frames that not just as, a clever military tactic, but as the required mental state for achieving a big goal. You have to mentally burn your bridges, commit fully. Survival depends on success.
And there's a business example, too. Marshall Field in Chicago.
Yes. After the Great Chicago Fire, everything's in ruins. His peers, other merchants, they're focused on salvaging what they can, maybe relocating.
But Field.
Field points right at the smoking rubble of his business and declares, basically, right there, on that exact spot, I'm building the world's greatest store. It doesn't matter how many times it burns down.
That's incredible resolve.
It's pure, unshakable desire, crystallizing instantly into a definite plan of action. No hesitation.
Okay, so you've got this burning desire. It's specific. It's intense.
Yeah.
What then? Hill gives actual steps, right? Like a formula.
He does. 6 very practical steps to transmute, as he calls it, that desire into his financial equivalent. These are like the engineering instructions.
Okay, let's break them down. Step 1.
First, fix the exact amount of money you desire. Not a lot of money, an exact figure, down to the dollar, if possible.
Why so specific?
He says it's psychologically necessary. The mind needs a clear, definite target to work towards. Vagueness doesn't work.
Makes sense. Okay, step 2.
Second, determine exactly what you intend to give in return for that money. This is huge. Hill insists riches never come free.
No, something for nothing.
Never. You have to define the value you'll provide, the service you'll render, the product you'll create. What's the exchange?
Got it. Third step.
Third, establish a definite date by which you intend to possess the money. Again, definiteness, a deadline.
Okay. And fourth?
Fourth, create a definite plan for carrying out your desire. And here's the kicker.
We agree.
Start at once, whether you feel ready or not, to put this plan into action.
Don't wait for the perfect plan. Just start.
Imperfect action beats brilliant inaction every single time, according to this philosophy. Get moving.
Okay, steps 5 and 6. This is where it gets really mental, right?
This is where the psychological programming comes in. Fifth, write out a clear, concise statement covering those first 4 points: the amount of money, the date, what you'll give in return, and the plan.
Put it on paper.
Make it tangible. And then the crucial 6th step. Read this written statement aloud, twice daily. Once just before bed, and once right after waking up.
Just reading it isn't enough, though, is it?
Absolutely not. As you read it, you must consciously see, feel, and believe yourself already in possession of the money. You have to live it mentally, feel the emotions of having achieved it.
So you're basically like reprogramming your subconscious mind.
You're playing, as Hill calls it, a perfectly legitimate trick on your subconscious mind, convincing it that this goal is already real, which then motivates your conscious actions to align with that belief.
Which leads us perfectly into the next step, number 2. Faith, the eternal elixir.
Yes. Desire sets the goal, but faith provides the juice, the power.
Why is faith so critical? It's not just hoping for the best.
No, Hill argues desire, on its own, is just a blueprint. It needs to be mixed with faith to give it life, power, and action. Faith is the catalyst.
He calls it the basis of all miracles.
And the only known antidote for failure. If doubt creeps in, if you lack faith in your ability to achieve the desire laid out in those 6 steps, the whole process just stalls.
But what if you're not naturally a faithful person? What if you're skeptical? Can you, generate faith?
Hill says yes, faith isn't necessarily something you're born with. It's a state of mind. And crucially, it can be induced, created, through repeated affirmation or instruction to the subconscious mind. Basically, through autosuggestion, which is step 3. The subconscious accepts thoughts passed to it repeatedly.
Especially if they're emotionalized.
Exactly. Especially if they are charged with emotion and belief. That's how you build faith where it might not exist initially.
The story he tells about his own son is incredibly powerful here. It really illustrates this.
It's a deeply moving and, frankly, astonishing example of the principle in action. His son was born without visible ears. Doctors gave a grim prognosis, likely deaf, probably mute.
But Hill refused to accept that.
He completely rejected it. He decided his son would hear and speak. And he used his understanding of the subconscious mind, of desire mixed with faith.
How did he apply it?
He constantly talked to the boy, instilling the desire to hear. He knew there was a slight hearing ability through bone conduction in the mastoid bone.
So he spoke right into the bone.
Yes, constantly reinforcing the idea, the belief, that the boy would develop normal hearing. He was planting that seed of faith, mixed with desire, directly into the child's mind.
Persistently.
Day in, day out. Desire mixed with faith. And what happened? The boy did eventually develop hearing, mainly through bone conduction. But more than that.
He turned the affliction into an asset.
Exactly. Years later, fueled by this ingrained desire and belief, the young man saw an opportunity. He went to work for a hearing aid company and actually devised a better way to market the devices, helping countless others. He transmuted his disadvantage into a huge advantage.
An amazing testament to persistent, faith-filled communication.
Absolutely. It shows the real-world impact of these mental principles when applied consistently.
Okay, that brings us to step 3, which you mentioned, autosuggestion. Influencing the subconscious. This is the mechanism, the bridge.
It's the control panel, really. Autosuggestion is the means by which we can voluntarily feed thoughts and desires into our subconscious mind.
And the subconscious is what drives action, ultimately.
It accepts and acts upon any thought impulse repeatedly passed to it. But again, the key is emotion. Plain, unemotional words don't have much impact.
They need to be charged with belief, with faith, with feeling. Positive or negative, right? The subconscious doesn't judge.
It doesn't judge. It just acts on the dominant thoughts, especially the emotionalized ones, which is why managing your thoughts is so critical. You have to consciously feed it the right thoughts, saturated with positive emotion and belief.
So those 6 steps we talked about earlier. Reading the statement aloud, visualizing, that's not just a routine, it's applied autosuggestion.
Precisely. It's a ritual designed to emotionalize the desire and impress it upon the subconscious. Acting as if you already possess the money reinforces that belief at a deep level.
But Hill warns this ability doesn't come free. There's a price.
There is. The price is everlasting persistence. You have to keep applying these principles day after day,
Right.
and you need the ability to concentrate.
Concentrate on the goal.
Concentrate on holding that image, that feeling of already having achieved the desire, until it becomes, in his words, a burning obsession. If you can't maintain that focus, that feeling, the autosuggestion won't take root.
So concentration and persistence, non-negotiable.
They are the entry fee for mastering this level of mental control.
All right, moving into the next phase. Step 4, specialized knowledge. Now, this is where Hill really seems to challenge conventional wisdom.
He does. The old saying, knowledge is power. He basically says, not quite.
What's his distinction?
He argues that general knowledge, knowing a little about a lot, is actually of little use when it comes to accumulating serious wealth.
So a PhD in literature won't necessarily make you rich.
Not automatically, no, because knowledge itself is only potential power. It doesn't become actual power until it's organized into definite plans of action and directed towards a specific, definite end.
Organization and application are key.
Absolutely. Think about it. Many highly educated people, university professors, possess vast general knowledge, but they often struggle financially because they don't necessarily organize or apply that knowledge towards the specific goal of wealth accumulation.
So the goal isn't just to learn stuff, it's to learn the right stuff and organize it effectively.
Exactly. And here's another crucial point. The person accumulating the fortune doesn't even need to possess all the specialized knowledge themselves.
Ah, the Carnegie example again.
Perfect example. Carnegie openly admitted he knew very little about the technical side of making steel. His genius, his power, lay in his ability to gather, organize, and direct a group of people, his mastermind group, who did have that specialized knowledge.
So the takeaway for someone listening is, you don't have to know everything yourself.
Not at all. You need to know where to get the specialized knowledge you need or how to align yourself to people who possess it, and then organize that collective knowledge towards your goal. Power comes from organized knowledge, whether it's yours or someone else's.
How does one go about acquiring this specialized knowledge then? Is it just formal education?
Not necessarily. Hill emphasizes that successful people never stop acquiring specialized knowledge related to their main purpose, their business, their profession. It's continuous learning.
He mentions a guy, Stuart Austin Weir.
Yeah. Great example. Weir was already in his 40s, working as a construction engineer. He took stock, realized it wasn't his true calling or the best path for him.
So he switched at 40.
Switched careers completely. Decided to become a lawyer. He didn't just get a general law degree. He enrolled in specialized courses focused on the type of law he wanted to practice. Applied his definite purpose, acquired the specific knowledge needed.
And built a successful practice quickly.
Much faster than average, yeah. Because he targeted his learning and applied it directly to his plan.
The knowledge has to be relevant, actionable,
and aimed squarely at that definite chief aim you established back in step 1. Think also of the person who came up with the idea for portable accounting offices for small businesses.
Right, taking existing bookkeeping knowledge
and applying it in a new, organized way to solve a specific problem for a specific market. That specialized application created wealth.
Okay, which leads nicely into step 5, imagination. The workshop of the mind. This is where the ideas actually get cooked up.
This is the mental factory, yes, where desire, fueled by faith and guided by knowledge, starts to take tangible form as ideas and plans.
Hill breaks imagination down into 2 types.
He does. First, there's synthetic imagination. This is the more common type. It works with existing concepts, ideas, experiences, facts, and basically rearranges them into new combinations. Most invention probably falls under this.
Useful, but maybe limited.
Useful, but it doesn't create anything truly new. The second type is creative imagination. This, Hill claims, is the faculty that connects directly with what he calls infinite intelligence.
Infinite intelligence?
Uh-huh.
Okay, how should we interpret that today? Is it spiritual? Intuition? Flow state?
It's probably best understood as that deep wellspring of insight, intuition, peak creativity, where genuine hunches and inspirations come from ideas that seem to arrive out of nowhere, fully formed.
And this creative imagination doesn't just switch on by itself?
No, Hill is very clear. It functions best, or perhaps only, when the conscious mind is vibrating at a high rate. And what stimulates that? A powerful, definite, often emotionalized desire.
So the burning desire from step 1 kind of unlocks this higher creative faculty.
That seems to be the mechanism. The intensity of the desire throws the switch, allowing you to tap into this source of novel ideas.
And the sources hammer home. Ideas are valuable. Ideas are cash.
Absolutely. Ideas can be transmuted into cash, but only when they're backed by that definite purpose and, crucially, definite plans. The idea itself is just the start.
The story of the enchanted kettle is amazing here. Coca-Cola, right?
Yes. A young drug clerk, Asa Candler, takes his entire life savings, just $500, buys a simple kettle and a secret formula.
But the real magic ingredient wasn't in the formula.
It was the idea, he added, the imagination. He envisioned something far beyond just selling a little syrup. He imagined a vast enterprise.
And that single idea, born of imagination, executed with purpose,
Grew into the Coca-Cola empire. Think about it, that one idea spawned massive industries. Sugar, glass bottles, transportation, advertising, employing millions, surviving depressions, all from one imagined concept.
Incredible. And the story about Dr. Gonzalez needing $1 million for his college.
Another powerful example of an idea taking flight. Gonzalez had this burning desire, this definite plan for a new kind of college, one focused on learning by doing.
He'd been working on this plan for a while.
2 years. He'd thought it through, refined it, lived with it. He desperately needed $1 million, a huge sum then.
So he decides to preach a sermon about it.
Yeah, titled, What I Would Do If I Had $1 Million. But it wasn't just a pitch. It was the culmination of 2 years of intense desire, planning, and faith pouring out.
And someone in the audience.
Philip D. Armour, the meatpacking magnate. He heard the sermon, and he wasn't just impressed by the delivery. He was struck by the clarity, the definiteness, the sheer power of the underlying plan that Gonzalez had clearly obsessed over.
So Armour gave him the money.
The very next morning, handed him the $1 million. The key wasn't just the sermon. It was the 2 years of organized thought and burning desire behind the sermon that made the idea irresistible.
Which brings us right to step 6. Organized planning. Crystallizing desire. This is where the rubber meets the road, turning the idea into a workable strategy.
Exactly. And the first, absolutely essential component of organized planning, according to Hill, is forming a mastermind alliance.
We touched on this with Carnegie. It's not optional, is it?
It's presented as non-negotiable for achieving large-scale success. You must ally yourself with a group of people whose knowledge, experience, resources, and influence are needed to actually carry out your plan.
Why can't you just do it alone?
Hill argues no single individual has enough experience, education, ability, and knowledge to accumulate a great fortune entirely on their own. You need the cooperation and combined brain power of others.
Okay, so you need a group. How do you make sure this group actually works together effectively? Avoid conflicts.
Good question. First, you have to decide very clearly what advantages or benefits you will offer each member of the group in return for their cooperation.
It has to be mutually beneficial.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
People won't contribute wholeheartedly or indefinitely without fair compensation or clear benefit. Second, the group needs to meet regularly.
How often?
Hill suggests at least twice a week, maybe more often, until the plan is fully fleshed out, perfected, and ready for execution. This isn't just a casual advisory board. It's an active working partnership.
And the plan itself needs vetting by the group.
Yes. The final plan must be checked, analyzed, and approved by the members of the Mastermind Alliance. Collective wisdom sharpens the plan.
Now, plans don't always work out first time. The philosophy anticipates failure, or rather, temporary defeat.
It absolutely does, and the instruction is clear. If your first plan fails, replace it immediately with a new plan.
Don't just give up.
Never give up on the desire, the ultimate goal. But be prepared to scrap and rebuild the plan as many times as necessary. Temporary defeat is just that, temporary. It's not permanent failure unless you quit.
He quotes that famous line.
A quitter never wins, and a winner never quits. He points to people like James J. Hill, the railway builder, or Henry Ford men who faced constant setbacks, financial crises, public criticism.
But they just kept creating new plans.
Exactly. They never abandoned their core, definite purpose. They just persisted in finding a plan that would work.
Within this whole planning section, Hill also dives into leadership versus followership. Why is that distinction important here?
Because the difference in compensation, in rewards between leaders and followers, is vast. If you're aiming for significant achievement, understanding leadership qualities is crucial, whether you're leading a team or essentially leading yourself by marketing your own services.
What are some of those key leadership attributes he identifies?
There are several, but some major ones include unwavering courage based on self-knowledge and knowing your job. Self-control leaders must control themselves before they can control others. A keen sense of justice, fairness is essential.
Definiteness too, right? Decision and plans.
Absolutely. Definiteness of decision, definiteness of plans. Leaders know what they want and have a plan to get it. And critically, the habit of doing more than paid for. providing more value than expected.
The plus service.
That's the one. It distinguishes real leaders.
And conversely, what causes leaders to fail?
Again, several causes, but key ones include inability to organize details. Leaders can't be too busy to handle specifics when needed. Unwillingness to render humble service, being above certain tasks, alienates people.
Expecting pay for knowing instead of doing.
That's a big one. Expecting compensation for what they know rather than what they do with that knowledge. And a lack of imagination, not seeing possibilities or solutions.
And ultimately, who's the real boss?
The public. Your customers, your market. That leads to his point about the law of economics.
Which basically says,
you get what you give. The era of the aggressive go-getter is being replaced by the go-giver. You can't successfully demand riches or compensation long-term without delivering commensurate value or service in return.
trying to force it doesn't work.
Whether through political pressure or other means, demanding without giving value eventually leads to disaster, both for the demander and the economic system they're trying to exploit. It's a fundamental law. No getting without giving.
Okay, we've got the desire, the faith, the plan, the team. Now we move into execution. Step 7, decision. The mastery of procrastination. This feels like a major pivot point.
It really is. This is where the mental energy translates into decisive action, or it fizzles out. Hill sees indecision as the absolute enemy.
How does he frame the difference between success and failure here?
It's stark. People who accumulate fortunes make decisions promptly, and once made, they change them slowly, if ever.
And failure.
The opposite. They reach decisions, if they reach them at all, very slowly, and they change them quickly and often, usually swayed by opinions of others. Procrastination and indecision are hallmarks of failure.
Henry Ford comes up again here. His stubbornness with the Model T.
Exactly. Ford was known for his quick, definite decisions. That firmness built his initial empire. Now, was he maybe too stubborn with the Model T eventually? Perhaps.
But the principle holds.
The principle of rapid, firm decision-making was key to his massive success. Even a slightly imperfect decision, acted upon decisively, is usually better than dithering and waiting for certainty that never comes.
Hill also gives some interesting advice here. Keep your own counsel. Doesn't that contradict the mastermind idea?
It sounds like it at first, but it's nuanced. You absolutely collaborate closely with your chosen mastermind partners, people aligned with your goal, offering valuable input.
So who are you supposed to not talk to?
Friends, relatives, acquaintances, basically anyone not in your mastermind group who is likely to offer unsolicited, often negative opinions.
People who might criticize or ridicule your big plans out of fear or ignorance.
Precisely. Hill warns that these well-meaning, or sometimes not so well-meaning opinions can plant seeds of doubt and fear, undermining your decision and resolve. So form your mastermind, trust their counsel, make your decision, and then keep quiet about it to the general world.
Let your actions speak.
Let your deeds, not your words, do the talking. Focus, don't get sidetracked by negativity.
There's a huge historical example of decision he uses.
The Declaration of Independence, July 4th, 1776. He presents this as the ultimate act of collective, definite decision-making.
Stemming from a mastermind alliance.
Yes, he highlights the preliminary work by John Adams, Richard Henry Lee, and Thomas Hancock, forming the core alliance that drove the decision forward. Then, 56 men.
Signed that document, knowing the potential consequences. Treason, death.
They staked everything, their lives, their fortunes, their sacred honor, on that single definite decision. Hill uses it to illustrate that freedom, whether political or economic, hinges on the courage and firmness of the decisions made.
Powerful stuff. Okay, step 8. Persistence. The sustained effort. If decision is the spark, persistence is the fuel that keeps the engine running.
Absolutely. Hill calls persistence the essential factor that separates the handful who succeed from the vast majority who don't. He compares it to carbon and steel. It's what gives character its strength, its resilience.
It's the ability to keep going despite everything.
Despite opposition, setbacks, criticism, misfortune, temporary defeat, everything. If persistence is weak, Hill argues, it proves the initial desire wasn't strong enough.
Weak desires lead to weak results.
That's the formula. Persistence is the outward measure of the inner fire of desire.
The story of R.U. Darby and the gold mine is famous here. Quitting 3 feet from gold.
Classic cautionary tale. Darby and his uncle invest, drill, find some ore, then the vein disappears. They drill a bit more, get discouraged, and quit.
Sell the equipment.
To a local junk man for a few $100s. The junk man brings in an engineer who advises drilling just 3 feet further.
And boom, massive gold strike, millions.
Exactly. Darby lost a fortune because he lacked persistence. But the real lesson, the one that changed his life, came later.
Not from the mine itself.
No. Years later, Darby was selling life insurance. He witnessed a small child persistently demanding 50 cents from his notoriously fierce-tempered uncle.
The uncle refused.
Yelled, threatened, tried to intimidate the child, but the kid just stood there unwavering, repeating, "I want my 50 cents," over and over.
Until the uncle just gave in.
Completely worn down, he threw the coins at her and stormed off. Darby had this epiphany. He saw the raw power of sheer, unrelenting persistence.
It wasn't about strength, it was about endurance.
Exactly. That little child taught him to keep on keeping on. He applied that lesson to his insurance selling. He realized most sales happened after the prospect had said no multiple times.
So he stopped quitting after the first rejection.
He changed his habit. He persisted politely, kept presenting the value, until the prospect either bought or was simply exhausted. That mental shift, learned from the child, made him a top salesman. The gold mine failure became a blessing because it taught him the value of persistence.
And this applies even in tough fields like entertainment, Broadway.
He mentions Fannie Hurst, the writer, and Kate Smith, the singer. Both faced years of rejection, doors slammed in their faces.
But they didn't quit.
They refused to quit. They persisted relentlessly until, as Hill beautifully puts it, Broadway got tired of turning them away. Their sheer persistence broke down the barriers.
And Kate Smith ended up naming her own price.
Commanding huge sums because her persistence had built such momentum and demand.
Okay, for someone listening who knows they struggle with persistence, what's the formula? Hill gives 4 steps.
Yes. A kind of recipe for cultivating persistence. 1, definite purpose backed by burning desire. It always starts there.
2,
2, a definite plan expressed in continuous action. You have to be doing things consistently.
3 sounds familiar.
3, a mind closed tightly against all negative and discouraging influences, including suggestions from relatives, friends, and acquaintances. Protect your mindset.
And 4,
4, a friendly alliance with one or more persons who will encourage one to follow through with both plan and purpose. Your mastermind group, providing support and accountability.
and the ultimate example of persistence in the face of global opposition.
The Duke of Windsor and Wallace Simpson, their pursuit of love against the judgment of, well, pretty much the entire world.
He gave up the British throne for her.
An almost unbelievable act of prioritizing a definite personal desire. Wallace Simpson showed incredible persistence in her objective, and the Duke showed the persistence and courage to follow through, abdicating the most powerful position on earth.
The point being,
If persistence can achieve that kind of outcome against that kind of resistance, it can certainly help you achieve your financial or professional goals. It's a force multiplier.
all right, we're heading into the final, maybe more esoteric, but powerful steps. Step 9, power of the mastermind, the psychic feature. We talked about the mastermind for planning, the economic side. What's the psychic aspect?
This goes beyond just pooling knowledge. The psychic feature, as Hill describes it, relates to the mental and spiritual chemistry that happens when minds coordinate in perfect harmony.
Oh, yeah. Spiritual chemistry. What does that mean practically?
He defines the mastermind again. Coordination of knowledge and effort in a spirit of harmony between 2 or more people for the attainment of a definite purpose. The key is spirit of harmony.
When that harmony exists.
Hill posits that something extraordinary happens. An increased energy, a third mind almost, is created. This amplified mental energy becomes available to every individual brain within the group.
So it's like 1 + 1 = 3, mentally speaking.
Or maybe 1 + 1 = 10.
Yeah.
It's an exponential increase. This coordinated, harmonious mental activity is what allows the group to access ideas, insights, solutions, what we might call genius-level thinking that wouldn't be possible for any individual member alone.
It sounds a bit like synergy, but maybe on a deeper level.
It's synergy, definitely, but perhaps with a connection to that infinite intelligence we talked about. The harmonious of vibration lifts the whole group mentally. Think of Ford and Edison collaborating.
2 geniuses already.
Right. But their collaboration, their harmonious focus on shared problems, likely amplified their individual genius, allowing them to tap into insights neither might have reached alone. That's the psychic power of the mastermind.
And the Gandhi example takes this to a massive scale.
Staggering scale. Gandhi's power wasn't military or economic. It was purely mental and spiritual. He managed to induce 200 million people to coordinate their minds and bodies in a spirit of harmony toward the definite purpose of Indian independence.
A nonviolent movement that changed the world.
Hill calls it a miracle of faith and organized effort. It demonstrated the immense power unleashed when masses of minds resonate harmoniously, tapping into universal forces to achieve seemingly impossible goals. The psychic feature is about achieving that deep mental resonance.
Okay, step 10. This one often raises eyebrows today. Sex transmutation, the driving force. How do we unpack this?
Carefully, we need to understand what Hill meant. He identified the desire for sex expression as fundamentally the most powerful human emotion and drive. It's biological, it's intense.
Okay, that's generally accepted. What's the transmutation part?
Transmutation means changing or redirecting the energy associated with that powerful desire from purely physical expression into other channels, other creative outlets.
Oh, what?
Like pouring that intensity, that drive, that passion into building a business, creating art, scientific discovery, pursuing a major professional goal, accumulating wealth. It's about harnessing that potent energy.
Why does he connect this so strongly to the age when people typically achieve great success, usually after 40 or 50?
His observation, based on analyzing those 500-plus successful men, was that before that age, many people tend to dissipate too much of this powerful creative energy through, let's say, overindulgence in the purely physical aspect.
They haven't learned to channel it yet.
Exactly. He suggests that as people mature, or perhaps out of necessity, they learn to control and redirect or transmute that energy. When they do, it fuels their minds, maintains keen imagination, boosts courage, enhances creativity, and gives them the drive to achieve great things.
So it's not about suppressing the desire, but redirecting its energy.
Precisely. It's about harnessing the engine, not turning it off. That sustained, high-intensity focus, fueled by the body's most powerful biological drive, is what can elevate someone from mediocrity to genius, according to Hill.
He mentions historical figures.
Yes, pointing out that many great leaders, artists, warriors often achieve their peak performance when stimulated by love or romance. The emotional energy sparked by connection with a woman, he argued, often unconsciously fueled their creative and leadership faculties when properly channeled or transmuted.
Okay, that leads logically into step 11. The subconscious mind and the brain, the mechanism. How do these physical parts facilitate this process?
The subconscious mind is like the central processing unit and hard drive. It records every thought impulse that reaches it through the five senses or from the conscious mind.
And it acts on the dominant ones.
Yes, especially those mixed with strong emotion, like desire, faith, or the transmuted sex energy we just discussed. The subconscious takes these dominant, emotionalized desires and works to translate them into their physical equivalent, drawing power, Hill suggests, from infinite intelligence.
And the brain's role.
The brain is the broadcasting and receiving station. It sends out thought vibrations and receives them. Hill mentions research by people like Dr. Alexander Graham Bell and Dr. Elmer Gates supporting the idea of thought as vibration.
How does sex transmutation affect the brain?
Hill argues that when sex energy is transmuted, it significantly increases the rate of vibration of the brain. Think of it like turning up the power on the transmitter and receiver.
Making it more sensitive.
Exactly. This heightened vibrational state makes the creative imagination, that faculty from step 5, much more receptive to ideas, hunches, inspirations being broadcast from the ether or infinite intelligence, and it also gives your own outgoing thoughts more power and intensity to impress the subconscious.
So, heightened mental state, higher vibration, better connection, which sets the stage for the absolute peak, step 12, the sixth sense, the door to wisdom.
This is the apex of the whole philosophy, the ultimate achievement. The sixth sense is essentially that creative imagination faculty functioning at its highest level.
Where communication with infinite intelligence happens voluntarily.
Yes, where you start receiving those hunches, inspirations, flashes of insight without conscious effort. It's like having a direct line to wisdom. Today we might call it highly developed intuition, unerring judgment, or a state of continuous creative flow.
But you can't just jump to this step.
Absolutely not. Hill stresses this can only be understood, developed, and mastered after you have mastered the preceding 12 principles. It's the capstone, the reward for successfully integrating the entire system. You don't start here, you arrive here.
He describes a fascinating technique he used to develop this, his invisible counselors.
A really advanced application of autosuggestion and the mastermind principle used for character building. Hill created this mental cabinet, this council of great historical figures he admired.
Like Emerson, Lincoln, Napoleon, Ford, Edison.
Yes. He would hold imaginary meetings with them every night before sleep. He'd address them out loud, asking to absorb their most defining characteristics. Lincoln's justice, Emerson's wisdom, Edison's persistence, Ford's decisiveness.
He was programming himself with their traits.
Through intense, focused self-suggestion, he believed deeply that we become what our dominating thoughts shape us to be. He was consciously choosing the traits he wanted and immersing his mind in them.
And it became very real for him.
Astonishingly so. He wrote that the figures eventually seemed to take on lives of their own, developing unique personalities within his imagination, even arriving late to meetings. It shows the profound power of concentrated belief and imagination to reshape one's own character and ultimately open the door to that sixth sense intuition.
Incredible. Okay, finally, the last hurdle, step 13. How to outwit the 6 ghosts of fear. Why is conquering fear the final step?
Because fear is the ultimate saboteur. It underlies almost all failure. And Hill traces its origin very precisely.
Back to indecision.
Yes, indecision is the seedling of fear. Left unchecked, indecision grows, crystallizes into doubt, and indecision and doubt blend together to create fear. It's a destructive progression. You have to tackle the root cause.
And you can't fight an enemy you don't recognize. So what are the main fears?
Hill identifies 6 basic fears that seem to plague humanity. The fear of poverty, the fear of criticism, the fear of ill health, the fear of loss of love of someone, the fear of old age, and the fear of death.
He says all other fears are just variations of these 6.
Essentially combinations or offshoots, yes. These are the fundamental ones.
Let's zero in on the fear of poverty. He calls it the most destructive. Why? What does it do to a person?
Its effects are devastating. It paralyzes your ability to reason clearly. It destroys imagination. You can't see possibilities when you're consumed by fear of lack. It undermines self-reliance. It encourages procrastination and indecision.
Wipes out enthusiasm, makes self-control impossible.
All of that. It leads to making excuses, lacking ambition. It essentially makes the kind of definite, positive thinking required by the previous steps almost impossible. It invites failure.
So what's the antidote? How do you conquer these fears, especially poverty?
The cure lies in exercising the one thing Hill says humans have absolute, unquestionable control over.
Our thoughts.
Our thoughts. You cannot hold thoughts of fear and poverty in your mind at the same time as thoughts of courage and faith and financial gain. One set has to dominate.
So you have to consciously choose.
Consciously, deliberately choose to fill your mind with positive thoughts aligned with your definite purpose. The remedy for fear is a firm, definite decision to master it. By keeping your mind constantly occupied with your definite chief aim, your definite plans, and the expectation of success. Mind control isn't magic. It's the result of self-discipline and building positive mental habits day by day until they replace the fear-based patterns. Hashtag tags tag outro.
Wow. Okay, that was quite a journey through the 13 steps. We started with the absolute necessity of a burning desire and unwavering faith.
Built the structure with specialized knowledge, imagination, and really solid organized planning, leveraging the mastermind.
Then moved into execution, making firm decisions, persisting through thick and thin.
And finally, tapped into those deeper mental forces, the psychic power of the mastermind, transmuting core tries, understanding the subconscious, aiming for that sixth sense intuition.
All while learning to identify and consciously conquer the paralyzing effects of fear.
It's a complete system.
It really is. And the core message seems to be, these are the proving steps. Tested, observed, codified, leading from that abstract starting point, desire, all the way to concrete, tangible riches or achievement.
And Hill was adamant about this. The philosophy itself works. It works for anyone as effectively as it works for anyone else, if you try it and fail.
The failure isn't in the method.
The failure, he insists, is always in the individual application. Maybe the desire wasn't burning enough. Maybe the decision wasn't definite. Maybe persistence faltered. Maybe the mastermind wasn't harmonious. But the principles themselves hold true.
When you think about all these steps, what really stands out to you? Maybe something for our listeners to really focus on.
For me, it might be the sheer emphasis on definiteness. Define the amount, define the date, define the plan, make definite decisions. And also that absolute necessity of the harmonious mastermind. You really can't do it alone at the highest levels. How about you?
I think it's that relentless focus on controlling your own thoughts, the idea that riches and poverty are offspring of thought, and that fear is conquered by conscious decision and mental discipline. It puts the power and the responsibility squarely back on the individual.
Well said. The knowledge is out there now. We've laid it out. But, like R.U. Darby learned the hard way.
Knowing isn't doing.
Exactly. The value comes entirely from the application. And the world always needs new ideas, new leadership, new solutions, maybe now more than ever.
So the limitations we feel, financial, professional, whatever, they're mostly self-imposed.
According to this philosophy, yes, there are the limitations you choose to acknowledge and accept by not applying these principles.
Which leaves us with that final provocative question, drawing right from Darby's story.
Are you ready? Mentally, practically, are you ready to apply this? To turn temporary defeat into a stepping stone toward your definite purpose?
Or will you stop digging, potentially leaving your own fortune undiscovered, just 3 feet from gold?